The sea, for me, has a fascination. I like being on the sea. I sleep better on a boat. I like the smell of it, the taste of it. So it's somewhere where I'm happy.
Yeah, the depth here is 261 meters.
261, roger that.
As the ROV moves in, there's always this moment. The green haze of water gradually resolves into this shape. And you start seeing timbers. I feel this uncontrollable sort of surge of excitement. Finding shipwrecks like that is breathtaking. You're thinking, I wonder what this is going to be.
Sailing east at 6 knots, the 3,000-ton Strill Explorer heads into the mysterious waters of the Black Sea. She's making for a set of coordinates off the Bulgarian coast. On board, an international team of scientists led by John Adams, one of the maritime archaeologists who raised King Henry VIII's flagship, the Mary Rose.
We have some good target areas that we would like to get a little bit more information, but these are the selected locations, and what we've done is we've given the coordinates to the bridge. We're steaming off to do the first one now.
More used to battling the storms of the North Sea for the oil industry, the high-tech Scandinavian survey vessel will be the operational centerpiece of the expedition.
Bridge deck. Yeah, transponder is secured on deck.
10:15, okay. We're heading straight towards where we said we'd be. The Strill Explorer is an incredible ocean-going survey vessel with all the systems that anybody could possibly need. If I was to design a vessel and equipment to do deep water archaeology, this is it.
For the next 4 weeks, home, family, life on land will take a back seat in a quest to uncover the story of the Black Sea. This vast sea was once a prehistoric lake, unconnected to the world's oceans. How it then flooded remains disputed. Some scientists have argued there was a catastrophic deluge which inspired the biblical flood story. Along its shores, they've found evidence of early humans who settled here, worked the land, discovered gold. In the sea's hidden depths, archaeologists believe there may be evidence of ancient seafaring, shipwrecks from long-lost empires that could date back 3,000 years to when the Greeks first landed on the Black Sea's shores. Until now, this sea has remained little explored. Flanked by 6 countries, the Black Sea was, for much of the 20th century, hidden behind the Iron Curtain. For the next 3 years, John Adams and his team will search for evidence of the lost civilizations and the ancient peoples who lived and sailed on this mysterious sea.
The whole area is an archaeological hotspot in terms of what we know about ancient civilizations along its shores. And in theory, we would expect tremendously exciting remains from past cultures underwater as well.
Adams's right-hand man is Krum Bachvarov, one of the few maritime archaeologists ever to have worked on a Black Sea shipwreck.
This is really going to sound cheesy, but we really are making history. The shipwrecks that we're likely to find, there are thousands upon thousands of years of seafaring in this region, and we know virtually nothing about it.
Helen Farr specializes in prehistory, uncovering the worlds in which ancient peoples lived.
Understanding that human narrative against the backdrop of this changing landscape of sea level rise is really important for understanding where we've come from, who we are, what makes humans humans. It's something that people really engage with.
Managing the team's state-of-the-art imaging systems is maritime archaeologist Rodrigo Pacheco Ruiz.
The Black Sea has never been explored this way. It's virgin territory. There's very, very little archaeology done here. You know, this is the biggest museum in the world, and it's all on the water, so a lot of exciting stuff. Ah, here's John. Are we ready? Almost-ish?
My estimate is about another 30-35 minutes.
Excellent.
Good.
All right.
Cider Joy, Sarder Joy, Strio Explorer, Strio Explorer.
Station calling, Cider Joy decline.
Just for information, we are conducting subsea operation. Can you keep clear of us 1 nautical mile, please?
Thank you very much. Okay, I will be clear of you 1.
The Strill reaches the coordinates where sonar has located a signature at 300 meters. But what's down there, no one is sure. Alongside the scientists is a team of deep-sea surveyors equipped with the latest laser and sonar technology, and 6 pilots for the remotely operated vehicles, or ROVs. Linked to the ship by a fiber-optic cable, the supporter ROV can reach depths of nearly 2,000 meters, gliding through the water with the touch of a joystick.
Leo, ready?
Yes, ready, ready. Take it away, guys. All stations are off deck. Bridge, confirm I have a green light for diving?
Yes, you have.
Thank you, Conrad.
Adams's command post is the ROV pilot's cabin. The supporter's 8 cameras will open a window to an undiscovered world.
Calibrating the camera, yeah, and then getting the lights right and stuff.
Okie dokie. I'm in down.
As it descends, the supporter gets closer and closer to what makes the Black Sea unique. At a depth of 150 meters, oxygen in the water disappears. The sea becomes a dead zone.
Go on.
Yeah, the depth here is 261 meters.
261, roger that.
Come on, guys. stunning. My God. Look at that.
Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, this is absolutely beautiful.
Much of the wreck has been preserved. The wooden balustrades around the quarterdeck, the ropes for working the sails. In other seas, most of this wreck would not have survived.
That's quite a lot of rope.
Oh, yes.
That's brilliant.
Look at the mast leaning against the beam.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Look, have you seen the carving? Oh, the carving, it's all over the place. Absolutely beautiful.
The carved patterns of flowers and vines are Islamic. The ship would have sailed during the Ottoman Empire, probably around 300 years ago.
It's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
Have you ever seen it?
No, not live. Not doing it now. It's down there, 300 meters. We are discovering it. We are looking at it now for the first time.
Three centuries ago, the Black Sea was a prized possession of the Ottoman Empire. Merchant ships plied their trade along its coastline, a vital supply line for the Ottoman capital, Constantinople, today's Istanbul. Within a century of its capture, close to 700,000 people lived in this teeming city. Feeding the growing population was a priority for the Ottoman rulers. Ports at the mouths of the great rivers that fed into the Black Sea from Russia and Europe were vital trading posts and were quickly captured. An armada of small traders began to ferry vital supplies back to Constantinople. Some ships, their hulls laden with grain from the Balkans, precious metals from the Caucasus, never made it home.
In theory, shipwrecks that come to rest on 300 metres of water should be well preserved. But we didn't really know. So the first time we started to see that Ottoman wreck, that was a moment. It really is like this, and we can see wonderful things all over the bottom of this sea, potentially.
The expedition to the Black Sea began 12 months earlier on a Greek survey ship, the Aegeo. Adams's mission was to settle a scientific argument that has divided archaeology for decades: how the Black Sea flooded. Using a sonar device called a towfish, which emits powerful pulses of sound, the team surveys the sea floor. The sound pulses penetrate the seabed, feeding back a detailed profile of the prehistoric landscape that once existed. 20,000 years ago, the Black Sea looked very different. In the grip of the last ice age, global sea levels were much lower, and the Black Sea was a smaller, freshwater lake. Early humans probably lived and hunted on its shores.
At the moment, we're more or less steaming over the paleo shoreline. In other words, from here, in that way, towards the land of Bulgaria, which we can see in the horizon, everything was dry land once upon a time.
For decades, most geologists agreed that as the Ice Age ended, fresh water from the surrounding rivers poured into the lake. Over thousands of years, it slowly filled up. Eventually, the lake reached the Bosphorus and began to mix with seawater from the Mediterranean, creating the Black Sea that exists today. Then in 1997, the theory was challenged by two American scientists, Walter Pittman and William Ryan. They argued that there was little change to the prehistoric lake until a few thousand years ago, when the rising seawater level of the Mediterranean burst through the Bosphorus. The theory sparked huge public interest, recalling Noah and the biblical flood. In 3 weeks of surveying with the towfish, the team creates a map of the ancient buried landscape, the first step in uncovering how the Black Sea formed. Using a second towfish, the team begin a new search. This time, they're looking for shipwrecks. In most oceans, ancient ships have long disappeared. Their wooden timbers eaten by shipworm, as on this 2,000-year-old Greek wreck. But in the Black Sea, because oxygen below 150 meters disappears, the water is anoxic. It doesn't support life, such as shipworm. It could mean that ships from long ago empires still might exist on the seabed.
This is the first one that really sprang out of the screen after screaming shipwreck. Even if it's recent, this could actually be a really, really interesting find.
And this is the deepest one, almost 300 meters, 278.
This one's very interesting. That's really good. You've got collapsed beams and all sorts of things. You've certainly got what looks like structural timbers all the way around.
Yeah.
In a way, I think it's the most interesting one.
The Strill is heading further out to sea, to deeper water, where the team hope that older wrecks may still lie, untouched for perhaps thousands of years.
You can never tell where the ancient shipwrecks will be. But we go down below 150 meters, preservation becomes dramatically better. And so if you're looking for ancient shipwrecks, look in the deeper water. You might get lucky and find some really early stuff.
Online and ROV, this is bridge. Vessel in position, ready to start whenever you are. ROV copy.
Crane copy.
Latch open. Stand by.
Stand by.
The wreck signature they'll inspect will take the ROV deeper than it's ever been before. 1,800 meters, a 40-minute journey to the seabed.
My personal favorite on the wish list is the medieval Byzantine shipwreck. If we find one of those ships, I'll be very happy.
There it is, yeah.
This definitely looks like the 17th century Eastern Mediterranean cargo vessel. That would explain the straight stern post.
Like the earlier find, the ship is from the Ottoman period, from 200 to 300 years ago.
Okay, might as well cathex.
Ready for cathex?
Yeah.
Cathex is one of the ROV's high-definition cameras, which photographs the wreck in minute detail. And it's part of a revolutionary method of surveying wrecks in deep water called photogrammetry.
We capture a series of stills at a frame rate of 3 every second. So from these wreck, we managed to get 700 photos. So that's a lot of high-resolution photography. The software stitched it together, basically, and you start getting a much better idea of details of the ship.
The levels of technology have become so advanced. They're things that we used to dream of as methods of three-dimensional recording things underwater with speed and accuracy. Now they're here. So to a certain extent, you can do an awful lot sitting in a control ground with a cup of coffee in one hand and a joystick in the other. I mean, it's fantastic.
With the image now stitched together, the team have the precise dimensions of the ship, can record every timber, and in this case, identify every artifact that might otherwise stay hidden. From the photogrammetry model, there appears to be an object wedged under a timber near the stern of the wreck.
You see him?
Yes, sir.
Using the fiber optically controlled manipulator arm, the ROV pilot, Brian Gar, begins the challenging process of retrieving the artifact.
There's an old expression that archaeologists don't dig up things, but people. But it's the things that allow us to get to the people.
Easy up.
We are faced with the material evidence. The immediacy of that is what fills your brain initially. And then you start thinking about the people and wondering what happened. Most of those shipwrecks out there, there's no obvious reason that they sunk. They're on the bottom of the sea. They probably went down in bad storms. It would have been a very dire situation to be in. Well done.
What we're looking at is 2 clay braziers. On the left one, we see traces of burning and traces of concreted ashes and charcoal which comes to show that the brazier was actively used. In fact, when we discovered it, it was still full of ashes. So yeah, this brazier probably contained the remains of the last meal that was eaten on board the boat.
You're talking to these people. They suddenly become live. They are right next to you.
For Krum Bachvarov, ships are the closest possible connection to long-lost empires. A way to understand the past and its people. For more than 2 years, he's been working on the Vasa, a 17th century Swedish warship.
If you study the timbers properly, you're going to see the marks from the tools. You will learn to recognize their signature by the way they use their tools.
Bachvarov has been painstakingly examining each timber of the ship's frame, carefully reconstructing how the Vasa was built.
It is the first time that we are really developing and understanding how the shipwrights put her together. There are not two timbers that are exactly the same aboard the ship, or that are even universally squared. The capability of dealing with complicated engineering problems, this is telling us something about the mental state of these people, how much they understood the forces that were acting upon their ships. How did they solve the problem of creating a regularly operational vessel that was safe, that made it sure that it will bring its cargo and preferably also its crew back home at the end of the voyage.
In the case of the Vasa, disaster struck on its maiden voyage, human error causing it to sink before it had left Stockholm harbour. When it was raised 60 years ago, archaeologists found that the ship, buried in sediment, had been largely preserved.
Seeing the ship the first time was the closest to a religious experience that I've ever had. To me, it was entering a cathedral, a medieval cathedral, Gothic cathedral. That sense of awe, that overwhelming feeling has never left me.
Survey bridge?
Yes, guys.
We're okay to start operations and we are vessel in position.
For over 2 weeks, the Strill has been at sea. Scientists, surveyors, and ROV pilots working day and night.
Must be hard to keep in touch with your daughters, Jürgen.
Yeah, this is life at sea, sort of. It's when you have the time to call, they might be doing something else. There's nothing you can do about it.
Hello.
Oh, you miss me?
Yeah, I did. You miss me? Yeah. I heard that Auntie Dandelion came and painted your fingernails.
Just tired, to be honest. I think it's kind of normally when she'd be asleep at the moment, but...
That's okay.
Okay, bye.
The hunt for shipwrecks goes on.
Right, 10 meters to go.
But the team is struggling to find anything older than Ottomans from around 300 years ago.
Not another one.
Oh yeah. Same old, same old.
Ah, dear oh dear. It's yet another one. It's another one to add to our fleet. I think it's a smaller example than some of the bigger ones that we've seen, but it's the same generic type. It's disappointing.
None of the discoveries are the ancient wrecks Adams had hoped the deeper anoxic water would hold.
ROV survey.
Right, survey.
Were we not just at this shipwreck?
You hear the official designation of this sort of ship, the Archaea wreck. And because they're all the same when they come virtually flat packed.
Each inspection takes time, as much as 6 hours. It's eating into the schedule. They can't take shortcuts. Every wreck could be the ancient ship they're looking for. Priced at $20 million, the expedition has high expectations of making ancient discoveries.
In this case, there's so much money involved. There's so many people involved as well. And there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of tension. There's only one chance. It's uneconomic to get it wrong, basically, at this scale.
It's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure to get it right.
Yeah. Right, same stuff. Bloody hell. That's what it is. Archaeology is like that. You just have to work with what you have. But it would be nice to have something else.
Ah, dear oh dear. Okay, time to leave the crime scene. Yeah.
Time is running out. John Adams needs more than IKEA wrecks. He also still has to determine exactly how and when the Black Sea flooded. It will take much of the Strill's resources and many days of ship time.
Survey, the barbecue is on surface. Survey, copy, thank you. Right now you can lower it down.
Copy that, go down.
Armed with last year's map of the buried landscape, the team selects specific sites on the seabed to core. Six-meter-long hollow tubes are lowered onto the seabed, then pushed into the soft mud. Once extracted, they'll contain a core of sediment that could date back tens of thousands of years.
This is fantastic. A full 6 meters of consolidated sediment, that's great. What you're looking at here contains all the evidence for how the environment was at the time and how it changed over time. And that will hopefully help us to address some of the big debates. When it happened, how it happened, and what effects it had on the human populations living in the region at the time.
73 sites have been selected along the shallow coastal shelf and further out in deeper water. The team hope the cores contain evidence of the prehistoric lakeshore, the first step in understanding when and how the inundation happened.
There you go.
Not too bad.
It's a nice shell material.
Bit of shell there.
Yeah. Okay,
In this
lovely.
core,
It's clean
thick
coast.
mud sits at the top. But further back in time, towards the bottom, mixed in with the sediment, are pieces of shell. They could be evidence of the lake's prehistoric coastline.
Oh, yes.
So we see that and we go, aha, that looks familiar. That looks like a beach. Why is that underwater? Well, it's an ancient beach from before it got submerged. So if I can understand where that coastline was, then we can start looking at that coastline and thinking about it. What was the geography in the past of the Black Sea?
With 73 cores to extract, every hour of daylight is precious. And that means the search for wrecks has to go on through the night.
ROV online, can you just set up the ROV on the line heading through?
In the early hours of the morning, after 3 weeks at sea, the team finally finds a new wreck signature.
I'd given up and gone to bed because I'd been up for about 24 hours. And lo and behold, the phone rings. So they said, John, do you want to see something different? So we're going to do a couple more flyovers with the Sulis. Just to indulge me. Wide angle, please.
Yeah, sure.
And just a touch higher. Perfect, perfect. Okay, off we go.
The eeriness of the mast just sticking out of the darkness. Incredible.
Beautiful stuff, Kalin.
Yes.
Do I see tool marks on that stem?
What, like a
Can we just take a little bit of a lower look down the stem as we come round?
The new wreck isn't an Ottoman. It's older. 500 years older. A merchant ship, most likely built in Italy.
We're looking at date, I think probably 1200 to 1400, something like that. And we find pictures of them or reliefs carved in churches and things, but this is the first time anybody's seen anything like this. The thing for real, almost intact. It's amazing. It's the sort of ship that Marco Polo might have sailed on.
When the great medieval explorer Marco Polo returned in 1295 to Venice from 24 years in the East, he traveled home by sail. His last sea leg was across the Black Sea, on a ship much like this.
Then you start thinking, well, the last time that ship was seen was probably the last time those people saw anything. What would that have been like for them? It must have been terrifying. Suddenly it becomes about a group of people's very real demise. And then we were finished, and the ROV just drew back. Suddenly I thought, there but the grace of God go I.
Lifting a wreck of this age to the surface would cost tens of millions of dollars. 3D photogrammetry means they don't have to. Archaeologists now have digital tools with which to explore the wrecks, long after the ROV has left the seabed.
That little Mediterranean ship, probably built in Venice or somewhere like that, gives us a way into history that we can't get by any other means. If you look at the ships in Northern Europe in the 1500s, like the Mary Rose, that's the other end of the process. So the Mediterranean ship that we found is the before and the Mary Rose is the after.
Point the jib west.
Jib west, roger, stand by.
Jib west.
Yeah. That's that way.
John Adams began work on raising the Mary Rose in the late 1970s. It quickly became the biggest maritime archaeological project ever undertaken and revealed the ship as a unique document detailing life in medieval England.
I can picture myself as though it was yesterday, being inside this amazing structure. All the guns were still in place at the time we found them, and there were shot and ropes and longbows and all sorts of other stuff lying around. In fact, you could swim at one point from one end of the main deck to the other, past all these guns, looking down at the guns still pointing out through the gun ports. And it was just the most amazing experience. The more we learned about the ship, the more it surprised us. The ingenuity of the way in which the internal space was organised, and that the fixtures and fittings and the rig and all the other equipment, including, of course, the guns. The ingenuity of how to create this complex floating society in this structure of thousands of components. You know, this was a new thing for Europe at the time.
Medieval Europe was changing, from a patchwork of small city-states to powerful nations ruled by monarchies. Henry VIII personally paid for the construction of the Mary Rose, a potent symbol of his and England's status.
Ships can be seen at this period as the tools of state building, because they're now the new form of castle. They're floating castles. You can take your power where you want them. Now, when we look at that Italian ship in the Black Sea, that is the stage of maritime technological development before this process of technological change happens.
19,000 artifacts were uncovered from the Mary Rose, each one adding to an intimate portrait of life lived 500 years ago.
A shipwreck is an accident, and it's a floating society, therefore it contains not only the ship, its technologies, its fixtures, its fittings, its rig, the personal possessions of the crew, their equipment. You've got this whole complex structure and all the objects of those people on board. When you look at a shipwreck, you have the best way of getting at the people that is possible, really.
Meter at 332 bearing.
55 meters at 332 degrees. Clear to move?
Clear to move.
Back on the Strill, something's gone wrong with the latest dive.
Could you come to a stop on the vessel, and we'll see if it gets it in again.
Copy that.
Now there's a really, really bad current here, so I will try to turn.
Yes, guys.
Yeah, could you do a fix on me now?
Yep, sure, Brian.
Say again, please.
Yes, Brian.
Bridge ROV? Yeah, you need to now, this is a critical situation, we're trying to get up, and I need you to speak up on the comms, please.
500 meters down, there's a problem with the ROV.
We lost our hydroacoustic positioning.
It's there, but it's not coming up. It's red and it's got zero depth, so I'm not too sure what that's happening.
Don't trust this position because we definitely we're not getting anything close anymore. So.
The supporter's positioning beacon has broken. There's several $1 million worth of submersible out there, somewhere.
We have a loop of 760 meters of cable now, and we are only 470 meters under the boat, so the current is pulling on the loop.
The current has dragged the ROV nearly half a kilometre out to sea. But in which direction, no one knows.
Can't really see the cable there. Ivan, can you get one of the guys on the bridge to go out and have a look on the umbilical cable and tell me which direction it's going?
If the supporter is lost, it'll put a stop to the expedition's hunt for wrecks.
ROV survey.
Yes.
Yeah, we have your positioning about 400 meters from the vessel. We need to track back to the vessel.
Flying blind, all Brian Gar can do is slowly reel the ROV back on board, without crashing it into the ship's hull.
You see now I'm coming up quite fast there.
No, it's, we will lose it. We will lose it.
All stations are reopened back.
I'm so relieved. I had this horror of sort of going along with these sort of millions and millions of pounds worth of equipment.
Oh, it's
You take that end.
The coring of the Black Sea, in search of the prehistoric coastline, is nearly complete. Most of the 73 cores have been extracted from the shallow coastal shelf and from deeper waters.
They've all been sorted. They now need to go back in the crate and away.
One will attract particular interest. Core 59. At the UK's National Oceanography Centre, scientists from the expedition have found evidence of the prehistoric lake.
As you can see, we've got almost 4 meters of pure shell. If we take a sample from here, we have a real mixture. You can see that we have some slightly more intact shells, some that are slightly broken, and then we have this completely ground down shell within it. And this is really where what's happened is wave energy and the dynamic environment has basically churned this around, breaking them down into almost what looks like, in some places, like a sand. And that's really good evidence that we're on the edge of the Black Sea Lake as it was then.
Taken 60 kilometers off the present-day coast, the core gives a precise location of the prehistoric lake. Its shores would have been surrounded by tens of thousands of square kilometers of dry land that is now submerged.
That takes you to pretty much where it begins to start dropping off into the real depths.
For Helen Farr, the results could be evidence of how early humans might have existed on this land.
So that's a large amount of continental shelf here that would have been possibly inhabited, crossed by people that were looking for their resources that they needed to live. The Black Sea was a great environment. You've got rich areas which would have had game and things to hunt, you've got fish resources, you've got stone, so you've got all the things that you really need to be successful.
Now the scientists need to resolve how this vast expanse of prehistoric land flooded. Slowly or catastrophically.
Would people notice it? Would that affect people's lives? What about if it was catastrophic? I mean, how quick is catastrophic?
All stations are way off deck.
There's a new find. Sitting in the shallow waters of the Bulgarian coastal shelf.
It looks interesting. I'm refusing to get excited until I know that it's not a fiberglass replica that's fallen off a container ship on its way to a fairground in Georgia or somewhere. So I'm just, not going to allow myself to get excited. I mean, it could be all sorts of things. It's just that it looks as though it could be special. Right. Okay, we want to be in there somewhere. Cheers.
Our copy. Stand by. 20 seconds.
There is a big...
something looming.
Yeah.
Here we go. When we came into the wreck, you immediately got the feeling that there's a wreck that had been down there many centuries. So we had a ship on the seabed with structure still poking through the seabed, more or less upright because the shape that we could see in the multi-beam was symmetrical. So it wasn't on one side, it wasn't smashed up. And the shape of it looked unlike sort of post-medieval ships, so we suspected it could be earlier.
Inches, 60, yeah.
Okay, so if we just pull back again and look down at the whole thing. And what's this coming up here?
Ah, yes.
Here we go.
Embedded in the sediment is an amphora. An ancient clay vessel used for transporting wine and olive oil.
As we looked at it from more and more angles, it became more and more obvious that it was some sort of Byzantine type, which immediately puts it into the sort of, maybe 1,000 years old or something.
It's the oldest wreck they've found. A merchant ship from the Byzantine Empire.
It's a totally new page in history that we just turned today. I could not be happier.
It might be 1,000 years old, but no one can date the wreck precisely. The amphora could hold the answer. If they can retrieve it, they can date it more closely.
Where are all of us?
For John Adams, the Byzantine, at 95 meters, is close enough to touch.
Going to small details like which gases we would use or how we...
And diving onto the wreck would give the maritime archaeologists the chance to inspect the ancient ship firsthand.
You could do a lot with ROVs these days. And of course, photogrammetry is a fantastic way of recording these things in 3 dimensions incredibly quickly. But as an archaeologist, to actually dive on a shipwreck site, I always learn more than I could remotely. And I always understand more as a result. But going down there yourself just gives it an extra element. There's an extra sort of, I see, I understand that.
But such a deep dive is dangerous.
Let's go into small details, like which gases we would use. How we're gonna
At the safety meeting, there are worries that the dive is too risky.
95 meters is a substantial dive. We have, of course, a medic on board for any hurt, damaged people, divers. And we have the safety divers that will also assist in this.
If the safety divers are hovering in 20 and a diver needs to be recovered from the bottom or assisted, what do we do between 60 and 20 meters?
Yeah, that's
the problem.
It's a bit tricky in this kind of situation. The first thing you have to do is just to make the guy breathing, then we'll see. And go up a little bit, because even we are full of helium, if you go up so fast, you bring body.
You're talking about the diving equivalent of having a heart attack driving a car at 70 miles an hour.
Exactly. What do we get?
If John Adams dies and anything goes wrong, the entire expedition will be jeopardized.